welcome back to Movie Reel. I'm Samantha Tomlinson,
And I'm Kevin Tracy. Welcome back, everybody.
and we're gonna finish off our Monster Month, which probably gonna be seeping into August due to scheduling and technical issues. Um, uh,
Yeah, I guess this also kind of fills in with like our sequel month
yeah,
as well
um,
that we've kind of been doing for the past couple weeks.
uh, yeah. So July, we're continuing our summer movies, and July has kind of become like our unofficial monster movies month. So we talked earlier.
Yeah, unintentionally. Yeah,
But yeah, like I don't know why. It just that's just how it worked out. Like for some reason, June is not the month to watch The Mummy and Jurassic Park. It's July. I don't know why. It just is. And so we're continuing on with the second Jurassic Park, The Lost World. And
yeah.
I
Which I feel
definitely
like a lot of people kind of forget about this movie. It seems like.
it's here's the thing. I don't hate it. It's fun. I like watching it. It's not I don't have like, it's not like I gotta watch Jurassic Park 2. Like in terms of sequels, I do enjoy this movie. I just think there's there's just things about it that I just kind of don't buy or don't make a ton of sense. And there's also just a lot of like in the beginning especially there's I don't want to jump into it right now, but there was something I noticed and it was like almost angering me because I'm like, this is like unacceptable for coming from Universal Studios. Like you're better than this. It was a film, I think, a
Yeah.
aesthetic issue. But anyway, uh
I think that kind of like the problem is that they were trying to adapt this from the book because there was some like the original movie was like a very loose adaptation of the original book, and this I feel like was kind of like a continuation of
yeah,
that
how
book.
many books are
I'm
there?
not I'm not
How many books are there? Oh, okay,
one
just one. I thought it was a
one I think.
series. I thought there were a couple more. I'm going to look it up.
I there might be one or two. It's been a while. So I think I read the first one a long time ago. So my knowledge of it
I
is
really want to read it
a
because
bit drifting.
um
Yeah, I mean it's a
oh,
great book. It's a lot more. There's a lot more characters in the first one than that should be in the first movie.
yeah,
Like
Jurassic
there's like
Lost
I
World
think they
is
brought
book
like
2.
8.
Lost World is book 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, then I have not read that. Okay, then
Um
never mind. I thought this is
but
like they were sort of like spelling off some like the stuff from the
I know what
first
you
one.
mean though because I and we talked about this last year. We both seen it's on YouTube. I highly recommend it. It's like there's this guy that did like it was like the top 10 Jurassic Park movies that we never got to see. And I think there was a version that
Yes.
was a lot closer to the book, but I think it's the same guy. Maybe it was someone else because I found it after watching that one. It was like talking about scenes from the book, and the book was much seemed to be a lot more a, a little bit more like philosophical and a little like this was, I will say, my biggest, I'll just cut to it. This is my biggest issue I think with this movie. And I guess you could say with the second one as well.
Hmm.
The first one, we talked
Yeah.
about this last time. There's so much depth in the first Jurassic Park because about like nature and the fact that they're doing something that's very unnatural. They're bringing back a extinct species and putting it in a world that it shouldn't be in. And even though yes, they're in the and I it's all in that lunch scene, like which is maybe one of my favorite scenes of the first Jurassic Park. But the whole concept of like maintaining control, and you can't maintain something you don't understand just because you're able to, do this doesn't mean you should. And like the whole idea of they're trying so hard to keep control of nature, and life finds a way. Like it doesn't, you can't.
Yeah. Like it definitely has like a very much like creator or like creation
Yes.
overthrowing
And
creator kind of a story
yes, and
arc
there is
to it.
like I guess there was a version that, and I don't know if this is more based on the book, but I do know there was like uh an idea of it was a little bit more like obvious symbolism of how like Jurassic Park's the Garden of Eden. John like I was John Hammond kind of like supposed to be God or
John
something
Hammond was
or
like,
it's stuff you
yeah.
know.
I no, I do definitely remember something a lot more along those lines. Um, there was also there were a lot of like really wild uh potential stories with Jurassic Park
Holy
sequels,
crap,
like even
yeah,
like
like
the training them to be like yeah, like the training them to be like
hunt down
drug
drug lords,
lord
yeah. Yeah,
attack hounds. Yeah, hunting down drug lords like SEAL Team 6, the human dino hybrids is probably like the more well-known one
there
of
was
what
one
wasn't
that I
made.
really was mad
Um,
at because it would have been such a good idea, and it was basically the animals are reproducing so quickly that they migrated to an island, and they have Dr. Grant and Dr. Malcolm go and like check it out. And I was just kind of like, because obviously they're reproducing, they're migrating. That's what animals do. Therefore, if they keep migrating, they're eventually
yeah,
gonna like eventually overpower like they that's interesting because it goes back to the whole concept of nature. And I felt like this movie just kind of it was just kind of it didn't have that same feel of depth that the first one had. I don't want to say it's about nothing. It is about there is like the concept of like of nature, or I guess more like nurturing is a big thing about this, and like protecting your young.
yeah.
But like it's just not the same. And I think the first time I watched it, I kind of almost viewed it as kind of like how the second Hunger Games was, the second movie, like catching it's just like, oh, like the actual games of like it's not it's yeah it's the Hunger Games, but it's just higher stakes. And this is like it's higher stakes because this is not a park. The whole concept is that there was another island where they would breed and let the animals kind of like live before transporting them to the park, and they've been thriving.
Yeah, which I'm already calling bullshit on right off the bat, because if that was the case, then why did you even include the scene of like the
Yeah,
egg hatching scene in the first Jurassic Park, where like it's like, well, wait, if you said that you bred them all on the other island, then why do they have that scene where John's like, I've been present for the birth of every animal on this island? It's like, well, no, you haven't, because they weren't born on this island. Only these raptors have been seen being born on this
yeah.
island. So
Also,
then, why would
it's
you tell
yeah,
us? Yeah, they like backtrack like an entire like established bit of like dialogue and
but
lore, and it's
also
just like,
yeah,
okay, either
but also the
one or
whole
the other.
like
Stick with
in
it.
the very very beginning, the first scene. So what's it called? Isla so
Isla Nublar is the
Isla,
first
yeah.
island. Isla Sorna is the second island.
And they basically were it's like a family that's like on their yacht, like a rich like English family, and like the little
The
girl's attacked
most
by
the most stereotypical like rich family.
yeah. And they're I love how of course they have a butler named Jeffrey. Like sure, of course, yeah, of course you do. Like
Yeah,
like
why not?
they weren't even interviewing if they were good butlers. They were just interviewing if any of them are named Jeffrey. um
You're not Jeffrey.
but I guess I love how the mom was so shitty. She's like, we're having lobster, your favorite. I don't like lobster.
And the
Like,
dad's like, oh, for God's sakes, leave her alone.
but this little girl finds a bunch of
Compies.
what are they? Okay, and
Compies. They're like, I guess like the animal equivalent of these things would be like hyenas, or like carnivorous scavengers that'll pretty much eat whatever, but like they will hunt you if they think they can take you down.
okay, but she's like attacked, and we don't see that. We see her like meet them, and then kind of like starting to overwhelm her, but we don't actually see them like attack her. We just
Yeah.
see like her screaming for help and her family showing up, being like ah. But it says right in the beginning this island is 87 miles away, and I was just like, that just seems so far away, and it just seems like that's more complicated to breed them so far away than to just breed them on the island,
Well, I
on
mean,
Nebula Island.
when you're rich, you just kind of do whatever you want, I guess.
Um, and and like so I will say though something I do appreciate about this movie, and as well as Jurassic Park 3, um we see the like how much how the park, how Jurassic Park, the experience that they went through affected. We see really how it took a toll on Ian in like every possible
Yeah.
way. And even like in Jurassic Park 3, we see like it definitely changed Dr. Grant's opinion. And I especially so with Ian, so just I want to clarify because I was always a little confused. He basically signed, did we see them sign NDAs before they went to the park? Or that's
No, we didn't.
okay.
That was just kind of like added dialogue to say all that. But in this one, he does say that like he wrote a book about the whole experience, and like apparently it was so well known that literally in like the next scene, like he's like recognized on the subway, and people are kind of like giving like weird looks, like, "Huh, you're crazy."
Well,
Only to
he's
be kind of like redeemed at like the very end when there's like the T Rex wandering around like the last 15 minutes of the movie.
and or it was he, so they signed an NDA and he was basically talking about what happened even though he wasn't supposed to, and therefore he lost his job. And he even said, so like the lawyer guy who's like the villain I guess of this movie, basically
Yeah,
saying like
it's Richard Hammond's nephew, I
yeah.
believe.
And he's like, I didn't take a cent of it, and I'm not selling stories, I was telling the truth. And the reason he basically was telling what happened was because InGen was covered up the deaths of three people. And obviously, that's bad. That's not okay. And so he's saying,
Yeah,
like, you know,
that's not fun, man.
like, that's really his biggest issue. And he's just so, like, he doesn't want, like, I appreciate, and I'm sure I've talked about this before, like, I have a weird appreciation for characters who are dealing kind of with PTSD, or they are not the same after their previous experience. And I think it was because I felt like for so long I was watching movies where people were just kind of like, I think I will say, like, the first couple of Harry Potters, he goes through these crazy endeavors, and then we just kind of move along. And it isn't, I will say, I mean, I get it, it isn't until like someone dies does he really get truly affected, but like that's a whole other thing. But like, I'm not trying to shit talk Harry Potter, I'm just trying to explain my case because I feel like I never really saw characters struggling with traumatic past. And this is, I think, is a good example of like Jurassic Park does a really good job of like showing like, yeah, they don't just they go about their lives, but they're still messed up by it. Like in the next one, I think like uh Alan and like is talking with like Sattler, and she says, he's like, do you remember the Velocipastors, like the sound they made? And she's like, I try not to. Like they're all very messed up by
They
what they
all
witnessed.
straight up just have like PTSD of some sort from this entire experience because it was extremely traumatic. Like they almost
Yeah.
died multiple times throughout the entire visit that they were there, and went from like, oh, I love dinosaurs, to the point where it's like, I can't even think or look about a velociraptor without hearing that horrible call that they made, or thinking about what they would have done to me if they had caught me.
Yeah. And um continuing down the path of I call bullshit was when, so Ian is, we first or so Jeff Goldblum, when we first, this is actually, this is actually my other bullshit thing. I really liked Ian Malcolm. He was a fun character, and Jeff Goldblum is awesome and super entertaining. But I think, why was he the one chosen? Aside from not the reason why he decided to go back to, not back, I guess, but to the island to do the observe and report with the observe and report team. Why
Yeah,
was he chosen to go?
because he's like one of like the few people who's like like encountered the dinosaurs, and like kind of has like somewhat an idea on like how to deal with this.
Because wouldn't like Alan been more made more sense to Dr. Grant?
Yeah, yeah, no, it definitely would have made sense to had
Or even both of them.
like
It
a
just didn't make sense
yeah.
for. I think it's
He seemed, yeah, out of like all three, like out of the three remaining like survivors of it, he seemed like the least qualified one. I agree with you there. I think they got him because I think Sam Neill didn't really want to do anything with the series after that, or Laura Dern, or they had like scheduling conflicts or something like that, and they couldn't make it. And Jeff Goldblum was the only one available to uh, revive his role,
Yeah.
reintroduce that
And
character.
I totally, again, like, if it was all of them or even just him and Grant, I could have bought that. I think it just didn't make sense that it was just him because, yeah, he's not a paleontologist. He, he was it chaos theory is his specialty.
Yeah, yes, chaos
And
theory.
the reason he decides to go, so basically, Hammond asked him there. Oh, this was, sorry, my other bullshit thing. He arrives at Hammond's house and, like, basically runs into Lex and Tim, who are the kids from the first one, which they didn't really need
Yes,
to make an
and
appearance. But I thought it
just cameos like, "How remember us from the first one?"
it made,
That's pretty much
yeah,
it.
it didn't really make any sense though why they were there, because then we see like a bunch of, so Hammond explains, Hammond seems to be kind of like, I mean, he seems fine, but he's wearing a robe and he's like kind of in bed and there's a bunch of like medical stuff, like he's sick is the implication. So it's like, okay, and
Yeah,
we find out and we see a bunch of like InGen, like the InGen board, and like, Hammond's nephew, lawyer nephew, base, and Hammond explains, oh yeah, because of that well, not just the park, but because of the incident with the family that like recently happened, they decided to take control and take control away from me. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But then,
it's like,
yeah,
yeah, you did a horrible job.
but then he
All
basically,
these,
because of these dinosaurs are all thriving on this other island, he wants to just, he doesn't think it's fair for them to all just be killed. He kind of just thinks he can sway public opinion if he gets people to go and just observe and report, take pictures, uh, you know, film, like anything, just to show the world, like, okay, nope, they're fine. They're just let's just leave them alone. And
they're just animals doing what animals do.
and I just kind of love that, like, he thinks, he's like, see, but they're not in cages, they're just freely roaming. I've learned my mistakes. And Ian's like, yeah, yeah, and you're making all new ones. Like, he's just so like beyond.
Yeah, because like in the first one, like they were at least somewhat in like cages and in pens. So it was like there was some semblance of like control and safety. This one, they're just out in the open in a like a safari, just in the wild. And it's like, all right, yeah, I want you guys to go out there and just kind of like film them in their natural habitats. Like, fuck that. No, I'm going in there with an armed escort if I'm going at all.
And he ultimately
Which, yeah,
decides to go because the leader of this team is his girlfriend, who, what is her specialty? So
yes.
I guess like predators.
She's a paleontologist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there was like a couple moments where I feel like they were like trying to like there was another paleontologist in like the other like team that showed up to kind of like capture a bunch of the
Oh, the
dinosaurs, and there was a couple
long-haired
times where
cowboy
like,
hat guy.
yeah, like a denim
Yeah, yeah.
jacket, um were like, oh no, like you're wrong, doctor. And it's like, are they like trying to like downplay her because she's a woman or something? Like I felt like they were trying to like, I was like, oh no, she's a woman paleontologist and I'm a man paleontologist, so therefore I know what I'm talking about more than she is, even though she's been here for like, I think they say like she's been there for like a week
Oh, yeah, she.
or something like
Oh,
that. She
yeah. When Ian puts it together and he tries to call her, and Hammond's like, she's already there, and he's like, you sent my girlfriend? And she's like, I sent, like, she wanted to go, like, yeah, she's been there for a couple of days already, at least. And I don't
yeah,
think,
yeah.
I think I know what scene you're talking about. I didn't really.
Yeah, it's like after they like release like all the dinosaurs and like the T-Rex assault, and they're like,
Yeah,
all right, we need to get out of here. And it's like, we need to get out of here. The T-Rex are going to chase us. It's like, no, like you're wrong, doctor. Like they'll stick to their own territory
the
and
Velocipaster is what we got to worry
leave
about,
us.
which that's fair. I
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
really read that as they're downplaying her because she was a woman. It came off more just like, because then she said something and she corrected him and then he agreed. So it just seemed more like they both knew what they were talking about, but she knew more what she was talking about.
Yeah,
It
I don't
could
know.
have
It
been.
just
I didn't
it
read it that
kind
way. I didn't see it that way.
I don't know. It just felt like they were like mildly gaslighting her a little bit, just to kind of like give her like, oh no, like you're a woman, you don't know what you're talking about. Which I mean, at the time wasn't really a trope as it is today, because now it just seems like that's just like the trope of like, no, like we need to like have like our female characters have to go through an arc in order for them to prove themselves rather than just have them already know what they're doing to begin with,
See, and
which is,
yeah,
is such an annoying trope right
I
now.
don't feel like that's the yeah, and I agree. I can't stand shitty girl power. Like we have well
Yeah.
established that women are capable of so much. Just do it. Don't show or don't question it. Like just do it. Just show
Yeah.
that.
Or just or provide like a bunch of expositions like, oh yeah, I can do this, this, and this. Like then do it.
Which
I
they
don't
kind of
need
did.
your
I
resume.
didn't.
Just do it.
Yeah, and her character, I didn't really. I liked her a lot. So Julianne Moore, she's playing Sarah Harding,
she,
and
she
I liked
she
her.
she kind of fluctuated with me a little bit, to be
I
honest. I found times where she's like, "You're so stubborn to the point where like you're going to get us killed. Shut up and get out of here."
I I liked her, but I don't think she has anything to prove, and I don't think she's even trying. Maybe if anything, she's trying to. I feel like if anything, she's trying to prove something to Ian because so when he arrives on the island and they do get into an argument, she's like, "You're just the problem is I'm you're scared of this place and I'm not," and he's like, "Yeah, you should be scared." And the thing is, nobody. So the team is Vince Vaughn, who's Nick Van Owen, who I forgot. I thought he died. I forgot that he survives. Like
I genuinely forgot that he was in this movie. His character is kind of forgettable.
yeah,
It feels like, even though he's very much prominently featured in
he's
this
the
film,
yeah,
I feel like he doesn't really. Yeah, he's like the like nature photographer or
and
something like that.
basically yeah, and then there's I'm spacing on his name, but the actor's name, his character name is Eddie, but the actor he was in West Wing, and he's currently on like The Good Doctor. Like he's I can't think of his name. I'm sorry. Like
Yeah, Richard Schiff.
okay, and they
Yeah,
did they not know what they were gonna see, or did they just not believe Hammond?
they. I mean, they knew what to expect. That's like, oh, dinosaurs. But I think they were just like, when they first get there, it's like, it's kind of overwhelming. It's like you're seeing an extinct animal for the first time right in front of you.
Yeah,
It like it's kind of overwhelming, because I mean that's exactly like the same reaction that they all first had when they saw like the brontosaurus. Like, Dr. Grant, welcome to Jurassic Park, and
but it wasn't.
cue musical
But it wasn't
fanfare.
nearly as like majestic, and like that scene in the first Jurassic Park like almost brings tears to my eyes, mainly because the music is so
Yeah,
good and like it's like emotional.
I
This
mean,
was just like we've already seen this, and we're kind of like we're the Jeff
exactly.
Goldblum
Like,
basically of
yeah,
this.
it's like yeah, it's like you've already experienced like that moment, so it's kind of hard to capture lightning in a bottle of something like that twice for an audience, especially since these movies are only like, I think, 3 years
I think
apart.
four was the first one
Um,
93. I think it was 93 and this was
some
97, I want to say.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
no.
and especially since like the success of the first Jurassic Park movie, theaters and like home and like blockbusters and like other like video rental stores were completely flooded with dinosaur related movies for either like, kids, like adult, like horror movies, like every kind of genre you can think of were just completely flooded with dinosaur movies to try to like mooch off the success of Jurassic Park. It's like, dinosaurs are in, send out the dinos, and everyone was trying to get in on
Yeah.
that bad.
Um, and I I just think like so the team I liked them, but they just were they definitely felt undeveloped. And it wasn't the same. We talked about this with the Mummy, like Jurassic Park. What it was like, I wouldn't say it's an ensemble movie technically, but it was a good ensemble. Like, I think it was casted very well. And this
I completely
it
agree.
just wasn't quite the same without everybody, but also um, it just wasn't the same. Like, I I don't know how to explain it. I just think the
It really is because it falls in like the niche of like it is a sequel, but it feels like it's so detached from the first
yeah,
movie.
because especially because the
Because,
fact that um so Grant and Sattler were so paleontologists and paleobotanists, and they're seeing something that they never in a million years thought they would ever see, and they spend their life looking at bones of these animals, and then they're suddenly seeing them. Whereas for what was Eddie's specialty?
Eddie's specialty, I think he was just like
One holding gun, like
the driver. Yeah, he was just like the guy who just like had like all the like, the equipment. He was like the technician, like equipment man. Like he had
the equipment
like
manager.
like
Yeah, yeah.
basically yeah, like he had like an RV with like all the equipment. He had they had like a couple trucks, like two RVs attached to each other, and he even had like oh god, it's like basically like a blind box for hunting. It was like an elevator system that he had to reach like the canopy of trees in order to like avoid predators, and it's basically just like a modified like hunting blind box. Um, and I thought that was kind of cool because it's like, hey, it's something like hunting related because like my dad and I like used to go hunting like all the time, so it's like, hey, something I kind of recognize,
Uh,
and like that was just like, oh, cool,
um,
nice. I'll take it. Give me one. I want to hunt dinos.
there's another. I realize there's another character that we didn't talk about. We meet one of Ian Malcolm's kids, Kelly, and he mentions in the last one
Yes,
that he has a couple of ex. He says, "I'm
he
always looking
has
for the
he
future.
has
I'm
three
always looking for the
kids.
future, Miss Mrs. Ex Mrs. Malcolm." Um, and
Malcolm.
we meet one of his kids, and I I didn't have a huge issue with her. She was okay. I think my bigger frustration was it was very clear, like, oh, we part of, like, the last time we had Lex and Tim, we need kids again. But the whole thing about the last time was that, so they're Hammond's grandkids. They're gonna come also kind of see the park for the first time, just like Sattler, Grant, and Malcolm. And also we find, there's also kind of the storyline of Alan not really being like, not, he doesn't really like kids, and then he obviously becomes very close with them during their experience. And and this time I think maybe it was supposed to, I thought, I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be kind of up against the whole, like, uh, Sarah wants to confirm there's a theory about, like, T-Rexes are actually very nurturing towards their young, and then he's trying, obviously the whole time protect his daughter because she stows away, uh,
Yeah,
and comes on the trip and not really knowing where she's going. And then the whole time it's just he's trying to, well, obviously he's like, okay, my daughter's here, I have an actual valid excuse now to leave. And Sarah doesn't, like, because
yeah.
Sarah, she's like,
But
there's a whole thing of her being like, you always you don't rescue me when I actually want to be rescued, but I don't need yeah, I don't need you here
yeah,
right
but
now.
yeah, but and that's one of the reasons why I thought she was so damn stubborn. It's like she like has like a couple moments where it's like she does care about like Malcolm's kid, and it's like this is clearly not an environment, like not a safe environment to have a child in. It's like you need to get her off. It's like why aren't you kind of trying to expedite that process as well to try to get her out of harm's way? That's one of the reasons why I don't like Sarah's characters because she's so stubborn and hell bent to try to prove her ways, to prove that she's right, even though she has nothing to prove. Like she's clearly like a very like well versed paleontologist to even be offered this, even though she like it said that like she came to Hammond first about this, which I don't know how
well,
she did that if
well,
no one knew about this island
because
until
she,
like a
I
week
think
ago.
Hammond had said like, no, Hammond. So who said it? Somebody said it. No, somebody said it.
Hammond.
She, that she and Ian met because she met him in the hospital. He was in the hospital after, obviously the events of the last movie because he broke his leg, and uh, she went to the hospital to meet him to ask if it was all true. And I kind of was like, I think I just didn't did because she knew she believes him and wanted to go see. And I'm just kind of like, does she know what she's in for, or is she just ignoring it because she wants to go? Because she's pretty she's fine up until the RV scene, which I gotta say, I think that is one of the most stressful sequences in the Jurassic Park franchise. One of the most.
Yeah, no, it's extremely frustrating when it's like I want to see a place where like my boyfriend got PTSD and thinks that dinosaurs are real. It's like why would you want to go there if he clearly is messed up and is super injured from it, and he's like one of the least injured people who left the island. Like he's able to actually like walk off the island. People there like lost limbs and died. And it's like out of like all the people that left while the island was like uh, hit by the hurricane that left prior to like their evacuation order, he was pretty messed up. So it's like, why would you even want to risk that, especially since this island has zero restrictions or zero fences or any kind of security whatsoever, and she's going in pretty much completely unarmed. Like we only see her with like basic like survival equipment and like cameras like that's pretty much it, and she's going right up in front of like a baby stegosaurus, like right in front of its parents, and is immediately attacked. It's like
It
why
seemed
how have you
less.
survived this long
I
on
think when it
stupid
for
decisions like that?
when it came to Ian's daughter, I don't think she was like total. She was just like, no, let her stay. I didn't really. It wasn't as much that. It was more of like, come on, like she's stowed away because she's curious and wants to know what's going on. Like, who do you think she gets that from? She's more just saying like she's just like you. Like, acknowledge it. She's not really saying yeah she should stay. But I agree there should have been like a yeah your dad's right. You probably should not have come. Um, but there is kind of also but also in the beginning it's kind of the he's a crappy dad. He doesn't know that she was cut from the gymnastics team. And I feel like I feel like that line. It's because they were trying to fix their mistake from the last movie when they just very casually threw in that Lex was a hacker. And this time they brought it up way earlier that she was on the gymnastics team and then was cut. And then we find out like she uses her skills to you know, beat up a I almost said velocipaster, a raptor.
Which was so yeah,
It
which was so
was.
so stupid and so unneeded. It's like, hey, the raptor, like right about to eat like Malcolm, looks and sees this girl doing like some spins on a bar and immediately gets kicked, doesn't move, doesn't dodge, and immediately goes flying out a window, apparently made out of fucking paper, and gets impaled on a spike. And it's like, well,
Hmm.
first of all, that's an OSHA viation.
OSHA,
Second of all,
OSHA,
how is this animal
OSHA has
that
no
clearly
business to be
weighs
on. They would not.
it's like
No, I know, but like,
I
there's
know,
so
but I mean,
many.
I
What
just thought it
movie
was
were we
fun.
talking? Oh, was it? I think was it? We're talking Star Wars, where you said OSHA like would have a field day. Like, I feel like this is just like this is just.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, like the building that they are in has been abandoned for like 4 years, but the fact that this like she's got to weigh like what like 85 pounds. Like, how is she able to generate that much energy to knock away a several hundred-pound animal that clearly weighs more than her own father? For her to easily knock the Velociraptor well off of its feet, out of a window, hurtling down to its death, would mean that she would be able to do the same thing just as easily to Jeff Goldblum. And I'm pretty sure she wouldn't be able to
um.
do that.
Yeah.
That's there's several scenes in this movie where it's like, no, I'm not giving you that. That is so unbelievably stupid. It makes zero sense, even with this world's rules, which are pretty much just real world rules. It's like, no, that's stupid. You would have just pissed it off,
Yeah.
and it would have been good.
He just yeah. I got nothing against that. It just
It's
you
like,
gave
damn, that's
I
well
just kind
thought
of
out.
thought like I appreciated that they mentioned it earlier, but when it came up, it was more like, oh, Jeff Goldblum's a shitty dad. He doesn't know. Because she even says, like, like having kids, but you don't like spending time with them. But then you find out her mom, he very casually says her mom just, like, went to Paris and, like, left her. Like,
Left her.
and,
It's like, yes,
I
he's
mean,
the
and he
shitty
did not
parent.
want her to come, and then she came anyway, and he didn't even want to go. Like, and, but anyway, when they're on the island, they then find InGen shows up, and they're trying to capture all the animals. And Nick Van Owen just kind of like, oh yeah, Hammond told me these guys might show up, and it's like, and he didn't bother saying like anything to anyone else. And he told him like basically to let out all the animals and cause a mess. And basically, InGen wants to open up another park, but in a city in San Diego. And it's like, first of all, the really you want to put all these like, we've established that we can't control them, yet you want to put them in a like packed city, like a
A highly, yeah, a
like
highly
what
condensed
the
urban
it just
environment.
and especially at the end, the lawyer guy pissed me off just because at the end there's a moment where you feel like he finally gets it, and then nope, he doesn't, because he dies trying to get the baby T-Rex because he's determined
Yes,
still. It's just so like, and it's just so
but
stupid.
money.
But they show up, and then they basically use the T-Rex. They find Nick and Sarah find a T-Rex with its like leg broken because they're trying to lure like the adult T-Rex. And so
The, yeah, because in the secondary team taking all the dinosaurs, one of the people that they have on is like this like big game hunter, and it's like, I don't want any payment. The only thing I want is a chance to hunt one of the raptors, and he
what's
or
that
is to
actor's
hunt one of
name? I gotta
your
look him
T
up.
Rexes.
He's one of those
Like,
guys
that's
that's
like
in
the ultimate
everything.
game. Pete postulated as Roland Tembo. Um, he like is like this big game, like most dangerous game, like safari hunter. And honestly, I would have. That sounds like such a badass movie of just like this guy going around doing like a big game hunt on this incredibly dangerous island. Like, that sounds like an amazing movie of just like that. It's like, oh, like our equipment got trashed. We need to get out of here. Like the last like almost like third act of this movie of them trying to leave the island and escaping, and then trying to like deal with like the borderline Greenpeace terrorist act that like Vince Vaughn and Julianne Moore pull halfway through this movie of just letting out all the dinosaurs and almost killing like a few of the people in like the second camp. Um, and just trying to like deal with like their like conflicting ideologies while also trying to survive and potentially like, you know, kill and defend themselves against these extremely territorial and aggressive animals.
I
Sounds
liked
like a
him.
much better movie than what we got
He
with
because he
this.
was very much like, yes, this is why I'm here. This is the only reason why I'm here. And then he even kind of is just like at the end, like people got hurt. Like fuck this. Like he learned his lesson. Like he did. And the stupid lawyer just never. And I don't know. Was that supposed to be the whole like, oh, the lawyer? Like even the last movie, the lawyer died because money. Actually, no, because he abandoned the kids in the car and hid in the bathroom because a giant, strong T Rex. It's not like he can break through a bathroom made out of straw. um, um, but
Yes.
we kind of glossed over. We gotta talk about. Actually, wait, really quick. Sorry, I was just looking through the IMDb. I was trying to find what his name was. I was looking through the cast, and I forgot to
Yeah.
mention the butler, I'm assuming you recognize the butler because I was watching this on Amazon and I paused it and I saw the name and I'm like, oh, holy shit, LOL. It's Ian Abercrombie in who's the voice of Palpatine on Clone Wars for the first couple seasons. It's not
I
that
did
relevant,
notice
but
that, but I feel like it's like it was very much like I recognize him. It's like he looks
I mean, it
familiar.
wasn't
Like
as much. It was.
anyway,
I
let's
mean,
get
I
back to the
didn't. I
movie.
paused the TV and I saw his name, and I'm like, oh, ha, yeah. It was the same kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, we gotta talk about the RV scene because it's really stressful. They basically, Nick and Sarah find a. They find the baby
There,
T Rex. It's
yeah,
injured. They are gonna set its leg, and Kelly, it's screaming in pain. She's kind of freaking out, like get me out of here. So her and Ian go up into like the. It's like they're up. What is it? It's like with Eddie up in like a high. It's like a. It's like a balcony almost kind of thing up in a tree, like they're high above the jungle.
it, yeah. No, that's what I was saying.
Oh yeah,
It was like kind of like a blind box, like elevator type system for like primarily used for like hunting, but it was like
and
modified to
yeah,
be kind of like an elevator system.
and they
Yeah, he's like
yeah,
chilling up there,
and they hear a T
and
Rex
they're
starting to
in the
come,
RV.
and they're like, "Fuck!" And they call the RV. They're not answering, so Ian has to go down to warn them, and then the T Rex shows up. They give they give him the baby, but T Rex is still mad and basically tries to push them, knocks over the RV, and then tries to push them down like over a cliff. And it's just it's really stressful. Like you're on the edge of your seat. It goes on for a while though, but it is very stressful.
Yeah, it, it that is honestly like probably like one of the better parts of the movie when like half the trailer is like dangling over the cliff and Julianne Moore falls and gets knocked out on like the pane of glass and
Yeah.
it slowly starts cracking under her
Yes,
weight.
and it's
I
oh
thought was
god, I
such a
forget that there's
great
glass
scene.
there because at first it's so clear that you
It's
think
like
it's just an
ooh,
open door, and then nope,
yeah,
it's glass. And she Malcolm manages to grab her because she has her lucky pack, which oh, which yep, it is her lucky pack.
yeah,
She's dangling over a
which
cliff, but then Eddie
I
makes his
mean,
way
okay,
down, sees what's happening, gets them rope, and then is trying to pull he's trying to pull them up. He ties it to his car. The RV's starting to slip. It's just, and then he's literally connects it to his car and is trying to pull them and the RV back. And then the T Rex show up and eat him. And then InGen basically, yeah, step
yeah,
in and pull them out. And then
poor
they're
Ed,
all
poor
like buddy
yeah.
buddy for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of funny that they literally pulled like a Greenpeace move on them literally 10 minutes ago. It's like,
It
oh, let's go save them. It's like, why? They almost killed like half you guys, like by pure like happenstance of just letting all these dinosaurs that you spent all day capturing, and you're not. But they really only show like resentment towards them for like a little bit, and it's only shown through like Roland's character towards primarily towards Vince Vaughn. Like Vince Vaughn like has like the biggest beef with him throughout like this entire movie for like no reason other than the fact that he's suddenly like a hardcore environmentalist.
the thing
Like
is when they
almost
team
out
up
of
with
nowhere
InGen
it
because
feels
then it
like.
becomes okay. We're all like sitting ducks. We got to make our way to the communications center and call for help. And it's just, I just feel like this movie kind of forgot what it was doing because at first it's like, okay, they're going to observe and report. And then we all assume, of course, hell's going to break loose. And then, but then they just team up. And then it isn't until like, the last, 20, 30 minutes when the dinosaurs are in San Diego, is it like, oh yeah, they wanted to open up another park and blah blah blah. It's like it just feels like they forgot about all that stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, we got to throw this in, and it just it's just frustrating because the actual like stuff on the island is obviously what's interesting and the most because it's Jurassic Park. They're like they're being hunted by dinosaurs, and they have very little way to defend themselves, and people keep just getting picked off. Like, um, yeah.
Yeah, and probably like one of the other like favorite scene of this movie is when they're like heading to like pretty much like all the, like their field equipment was destroyed in like the T-Rex attack on like their RV and the releasing all the dinosaurs from the cages in the other engine camp, that the only way that they can get out of there is through like um uh the InGen like building kind of like in the center of the island, which is running right through like the T-Rex's like primary territory and the Velociraptors. And we get the scene, which is probably like one of the more well-known scenes in this movie, is when they get like all primarily separated from like the group kind of gets like spread out and split up because the T-Rexes show up and start causing hell on the camp
Yeah.
and eating a few people and stomping on a few people. That the majority of like the InGen camp runs through this tall grass to make a beeline for the facility, and we see them all kind of like being on high alert, and we see the
Such a
grass
such a good
trails
image.
heading towards them from like all different angles, and it's like all the Velociraptors.
Yes.
It's such great visual storytelling of just like pure chaos is about to happen, and you just see them all like slowly getting like picked off, like the three behind is like, what's that? It's like, oh no, like, and they all start panicking, running in different directions, and it's
Yes.
such a great visual of what we see right before it, that it's like I want to just say that like it's probably like one of the most identifiable scenes to this entire movie, and it's probably
Yeah.
like a lot of people's favorite scene for this movie, of just the
Yeah,
high
and
grass
I want to talk
attack
about the scene
of
before
all the
this because
Velociraptors.
it, it really frustrates me. So Spielberg directed the last one, correct? The first Jurassic Park, and he directed this one.
He directed both
And
of them.
and he directed this one too. And so basically, during this scene, we see like they're all intense. They're asleep. Malcolm's kind of, what was Malcolm going to do? What was Ian going to do? He was just out of the tent and like,
He was just kind of like walking around. He like checking on like his girlfriend and his daughter, and just like chatting with Roland
oh,
a little
because
bit,
one
if I
of the
remember.
guys died, and they like, okay, did you guys find him? They went out to find him, and they're like, yeah, we found pieces of him. We found what they didn't
Yeah,
eat.
and yeah, they found Peter Stormare's character Dieter, who earlier on in the movie he sees like a copy, just kind of like looking at him. Is like, how come this thing isn't running away from me? It's like, and the paleontologist guy with them is like, well, they never encountered humans. There's no reason for them to be afraid of us. And he pulls out like this cattle prod, shocks the thing, and the thing runs away.
See
And
that
then he's like,
line.
and then Karma shows up. It's like, well, now they do, and then they all swarm on him when he like goes to wander out to go use the bathroom, and you know dies. Even though literally an hour ago we see a little girl facing the same amount and survived that. It's like, you're a grown man with a cattle prod. How you died so easily to this?
See, that line is kind of why I was saying I feel like I can see like why the how the movie was trying to go back to the book and touch base with the book, because there's I haven't again I want to read the book. I haven't read it, but I know that there's like a whole thing of Ian Malcolm being like, how do they know to hunt humans? Like, how do they know to? And I feel like, I mean, obviously animals, all animals, what they don't, whatever they think might be a threat, they're gonna attack or deal with it however they can.
Yeah,
So, but
I think, well, I think it's just like, it's like, hey, this looks like something that we could probably just like, you know, hunt down and eat. It doesn't seem that big. It doesn't look like it has like any like natural like armor or natural defenses on it, like spikes or anything. So it's like, it's got really soft, spongy flesh. Like, we could we could totally take this thing down. Like, it's
and
it's just a little
but
bit
like
faster than us, but
him
there's
saying
a
like,
lot
yeah,
more
they
of
don't
us
know
than
to
there
fear
are of
us.
it. So yeah, let's go. Let's get it. I mean, it's back on the menu, boys. Let's go. So yeah, it was just I thought he was kind of like a funny
Yeah,
kind of character,
but yeah,
but his death was so much more violent than I was expecting. Like, oh my god. Like all the copies just like you see them like physically like taking like bits off of him, like he's getting like bit on the face, and then he jumps over a log, and then all of, like a tidal wave of them start jumping over it. You hear him like thrashing and splashing in the water, and
yeah,
then a bunch of red
another
blood
good
just kind of
visual.
starts trickling down the stream under this log. It's like,
Yeah.
holy crap, this is not a kids movie. He's definitely
So
writing that PG-13 line
the
super
scene,
hard.
I kind of want to go back to that other scene because the T Rex scene. So like Ian's just kind of walking around the camp. Sarah and Kelly are in the tent asleep. Ian hears a T Rex coming, and then Sarah wakes up, hears it, and it's like its head is like it's outside the tent. Its head is in the tent. It smells the blood from the T Rex that's still on her jacket, the baby T Rex. And this is what, but this is what pissed me off just so
Yeah,
much about this scene because
she's a
we're
real
seeing
genius.
Ian. Obviously, he can hear it, and it's kind of that realization of, oh, he doesn't want to say anything because if he creates a panic, that's going to cause more trouble. They have to all be quiet, and we're just seeing him watch the dinosaur, but we're not seeing the dinosaur. We're seeing it in Sarah's tent, but that's it. And it just kind of made me mad because I'm like, first of all, that would have been a great visual to see Ian seeing the dinosaur, not him. It's just the camera's on him, and we're not seeing anything else. And it made me think about how in Hook, which is also Steven Spielberg, when there was that scene where Peter says to his son, like, stop being a
Yeah,
kid, whatever, grow up. And the camera was not on Robin Williams. And it's like, he's the one, this is has the most meaning coming from him. Why is the camera not on him? And in this case, it wasn't as much like the meaning of it, it was more just the visual. Like, it just seemed weird because I'm like, is he nearby? I couldn't tell, like, is he watching? Is he just like what is he looking at? And it wasn't until like after the chaos starts do we see like, oh, for sure, yeah, he's right, he's looking at the dinosaur. It's like, why can't we see that? There was no good reason why we couldn't. And I just kind of, I like Spielberg. I like how he tells stories, and he's a really great filmmaker. But I feel like I've seen this kind of thing happen where there's these
yeah,
weird little like either like I just said, like in Hook, I've seen just these weird little directing mistakes or story issues where I'm just like, what? And this is a sequel, so I mean, it's not as much of an issue as it is if this was like the first movie. But it just frustrated me so much because I'm like, I don't want to just watch him. I want to watch the dinosaur, and I want to watch him watching the dinosaur and realizing, holy shit, he can't do anything. Not just I'm seeing all of that come from his face, but I'm not seeing the dinosaur. Like, I couldn't tell where he was. I'm like, is he nearby? Is he watching it? Is he nearby and listening? Like, what's happening? And did I mean, I've seen this only like once before, but it just really frustrated me.
yeah. No, what annoyed me was the fact that Sarah earlier on says that like,
Oh
oh
yeah,
yeah, these things are tracking us, and like the T-Rexes have a good sense of smell. Then why are you still walking around with your jacket on that has their baby's blood on it, and just it
dump
makes
the
no sense
jacket.
that
Yeah,
yeah, it's like just dump it. You don't need it. It's like it annoys me so much that it's like that is such an obviously stupid decision that you guys should have realized is a stupid decision. And even like the hunter, like Roland should have like, is that dino is that T-Rex blood on you? It's like, yeah, ditch it. It's like I've been on enough hunts to know that that is a liability. We're getting rid of that, or we're all going to die, or be hunted way easier with that like lingering scent on you. It made no sense that she would keep that on
she's in
and
Costa
do
Rica.
that.
It's freezing.
Yeah, clearly you need that extra layer of
um,
protection.
that same scene though, because they're all like so exhausted and they've been walking for days, and Kelly looks at Ian and goes, carry me, and they just keep walking, and I'm just like, it's not that he didn't carry her, I just thought it was funny that he didn't react like at all. They just continued on, and I'm like, it made it so much more awkward. But also he's kind of limping, like he probably shouldn't be carrying you. But yeah, that was stupid. That was a stupid
It was
decision.
it was a really bad decision on their part, and it it just irritates me when it's like, okay, this character is trying to prove time and time again that she is a very competent character, and it just seems like they're going out of their way to say like, oh, she's got something to prove, even though she really doesn't. And then she goes and does probably the stupidest thing that caused the deaths of pretty much the entire InGen camp, because it caused them to panic, run into the Velociraptor field where they got Children of the Corn.
good good title verbiage.
Thank you.
Um but yeah, and they eventually make it to they like, oh, actually this actually brings up another thing before we get to the when they finally reach the communications building. So they're all like obviously running. They're in like a waterfall, like a little like cave of a waterfall, and finally Ian just bursts in, and Kelly's like, "Dad," and I'm like, obviously he cares in this instance. His daughter is his number one priority, but I feel like for Sarah's supposed to be his girlfriend, yet
Yeah.
there's not a lot. I'm not saying they have. It's not that I can't believe that they're a couple. They just don't give us anything. Like they never are holding hands. They never kiss. There's never really anything between them. And they kind of came off to me. There was two things. I'm like, I can read this as they're a couple that have been together for a long time, and like they're just. I mean, obviously they care about each other. They love each other, whatever. But they're just like not like huggy kissy anymore. They're out of the honeymoon phase, whatever. But
yeah, it's like they came across like as like a very bitter divorce couple.
That would actually, like, you know what? That would have been interesting ish. That would have been, I think
which I feel like we kind of got that with like Jurassic Park 3, but that they did that in like probably like the most annoying way possible.
That was stupid. It just. I don't want to we can't get into it. We'll talk about it next year.
But
no,
we're not opening that rabbit hole.
But also I kind of was just like, that's the reason. There's no. Why not just make it? She should have been like his sister, or like there should have been some other. She didn't need to be his girlfriend, and I wasn't against her being his girlfriend, and it wasn't that I didn't believe. Like I didn't find it unbelievable. It was just like. It kind of made me think of how, like, in the first Jurassic Park, some people are kind of like, wait, are Alan and Ellie together? And no, they're not together. But there is kind of those, like, moments of, like, I remember the first time I saw it, I thought they were. And then I kind of realized, no, they aren't. And it's like, in this case, they are a couple. We know they're together, yet for some reason, we're not seeing any, like, real evidence of it, other than them saying that they're together.
Yeah, like they really have no romantic chemistry in this movie at all. It felt like, at least in my opinion. I don't know if that's how you felt.
Yeah, I mean, it just it wasn't. We kind of talked last time when we were talking about the Mummy about how the second Mummy didn't tease the romance. It just showed it. And actually, oddly enough, I don't remember why, but I came across an article recently that said how The Mummy Returns is not afraid of romance, and I'm like, yeah, and this is like the opposite. And I know that this is like a completely different kind of movie, but like,
yeah,
it's still just, I just thought it was weird that she's his girlfriend, yet there is not one kiss, or the only like, there's only a couple of moments, like I think, especially in the RV scene, like when he pulls her up from like the, because she's on the broken window, and then like she's hanging over a cliff from her backpack, and they're like hugging. Like that's like, I feel like the most, or I guess even at the end of the movie where they're asleep on the couch together. Like those are kind of, it's just like, they came off to me more as like, yeah, maybe like divorced couple, or just they've been together a long, long time, like Shimmer and Shine
No,
stated.
no. I feel like the real reason that they're asleep on the couch at the very end of the movie is because they realize that the movie should have ended 30 minutes ago, and they're dead tired from all the extra bullshit that went on.
Yeah, let's just skip to the. They end up getting off the island, and yeah, the whole San Diego stuff was stupid. Like,
It's 15 minutes of so. Okay,
there's no
I
real
I want to break
point
it.
of it.
I really want to break this down because this has irritated me since I first watched this as a kid when I was like 8 years old. So the boat that has the T-Rex on it, everyone on it is dead, yet the boat is still going at full speed directly towards the harbor, and no one on the Coast Guard is saying, hey, we need to clear this because there's no way we can reach them, and they're past the point of return that we can safely stop them. Yet they do none of that and just let all the press, the public there, and all their employees have to do a mad dash to get out of there as this boat does severe property damage and crashes on. When they go and investigate, everyone on it is dead. And not just dead, but in various state of being eaten.
But also,
So
but also,
what ate them? Because the T-Rex is in the cargo hold. So are you telling me that the T-Rex ate everyone, then went in the cargo hold and then shut the door? And then just caused it to crash in? How did those people die? What killed them? And how did the T-Rex get in that hold if the T-Rex was involved? Because they make it seem that the T-Rex killed and ate everyone, and there's no explanation on how it did it because there's zero damage on the boat prior to it crashing into the pier.
it got a lesson from a Velociraptor about how to open doors. I keep
Apparently,
wanting
with
to
its
call it.
non-existent little dainty
I
arms.
keep wanting to call it a Velocipaster.
Oh
That's what it's called now.
Contain yourself.
But oh yeah, like basil oregano.
Yeah, but
yeah,
that
no,
scene just it annoys me to no end because there's zero, like, either visual or any just basic dialogue explanation, and the only explanations that I get are just random fan theories that it's that rival uh, uh, genetics company that hired Nedry to kidnap the genetic samples in the first movie, did like some like sabotage in this, which that would have been really interesting. That there's this rival shadow company kind of working behind the scenes doing all
that
this.
would be interesting.
Yeah, that. But even then, that's not even
Yeah.
like explained or even drawn out. It's like, why are you doing this to me, movie? Why do you hurt me?
See the scene what I was thinking of was they're seeing that the boat is coming full steam ahead, about to ram into the dock. They see like it's not they can't visually see the boat yet, but they see that they know it's coming. Yet they don't bother to tell everybody to they can't contact anybody regardless of whether they do or not. How did no one be like, okay, maybe everybody should clear out? I just thought that was bullshit.
There was zero like effort put into like minimize any safety or damage, and it's like, why? It seems like you would try to make sure that people were safe and secure in it just oh god, it annoys me so much how that scene plays out, and then the rest of it is just, a lot of just random jokes of like, like a bunch of like Japanese businessmen are running from the T-Rex, and is like they're like, Godzilla reference, and just a lot of like really stupid visual gags that serve nothing to the movie because the movie should have been done like 30 minutes ago when they left the island. That should have been it, and you should have had like a quick like kind of like, oh yes, we need to learn to leave the animals in peace in their own natural environment, and go through like that whole like environmental message, rather than what we got, which was complete irrelevant bullshit.
Also though, I remember so when the T-Rex is like on the move and it like walks into an intersection and like cars are like crashing into each other. One car just completely flips up and out of nowhere, and I'm like, it didn't even look like he touched it. Him walking, the T-Rex, not her, I guess hers. I don't know. The T-Rex is very present, just walking by it caused a car to just suddenly flip over. Like, and Sarah basically is like, okay, it's gonna go looking for a water source, and then after that, it's gonna go look for its baby, and it's walking through like a suburban, like residential area, and then drinking water from a pool, and I'm like, it's first of all, this is San Diego. Is this the only really? This is the nearest house you find that has a pool? Like that? If that's
And also, that has to be full of chlorine. That can't be
no,
good for it to
no, like it's
drink.
not fresh water, and
Then it eats the like
oh my god, when it
dog.
eats it,
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
just
we don't see it. You just see the dog like freak out and hide in its which is a shitty dog. It's a shitty doghouse
doghouse.
since it like was able to pull it, and then it went back inside. And then when the kid and then the parents see, and they see like it's got like the doghouse like front chain in its mouth, and I'm just like, but I know that there was in that list of the 10 Jurassic Park movies never got to see. One of them was like, I think for Lost World there was an idea of most of the movie being taking place on the boat. But I also think it's less of it taking place on the boat, and if you want to do the whole like they shouldn't be alive, they should be left alone. It it just running around a city, as stupid as that is, it should have happened earlier in the movie. Like,
Yeah, like it just seemed so
yeah,
unnecessary and out of nowhere that it's like this movie is going to end in 10 minutes. Why is it still having like an action sequence this late
yeah.
in the movie? This movie's over 2 hours. I want to go home. I haven't gone to the bathroom in 30 minutes. I need to pee. This movie's going on too long. I need to
just
leave the
just
theater.
just end my agony, end the movie. And yeah, it just there was just not a real need for it, and it was just really stupid.
Yeah, and yet like the only thing that of remote importance was the Weasley like nephew lawyer gets eaten by not the Velociraptor, the T Rex, and then gets fed to its baby while he's still alive because karma, because he was really that bad of a character that he needed to be
It was
eaten
just so
alive.
stupid though that like he should have like he should have learned his lesson. When the boat crashes into the dock, he's sitting there so shocked, like, and he can't even talk. And Sarah and like Ian are like, "Where's the baby? We gotta find it so we can give it back to the T Rex." And you think in that moment he learned his
Yeah,
lesson. And
and he
what point was it when was it at this point when Ian said to him, "Okay, yeah." Now he's like kept saying, "I'm not my grandpa. I'm not my uncle. I'm not my uncle." And then at the end, he finally Ian says to him, "Okay, now you're John Hammond, trying to control something." I think it's when it crashed into the dock. He's like, "You're trying to control something that you can't."
Yeah, and it's like, okay, yeah, like that would have been like a good stopping point for his character and like maybe had like a redeeming moment. It's like, no, he immediately goes into the boat trying to like bring the baby back in by himself for some stupid reason because he thinks he's able to do that.
And yeah, it was so stupid.
And then and then he's dead and then we get a very fitting end message from John Hammond is like, these animals existed without us, and they will continue to exist without us. Are their own private nature. He basically just declares this island its own private nature reserve, which I don't think you can, but I guess when you're rich
Yeah,
enough to create dinosaurs out of dried
and
mosquito
frog
amber blood,
DNA.
you can
Yeah,
pretty much do whatever you
just
want.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can do something like that crazy, I think you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want on live TV. And then that's the movie of Jurassic Park: The Lost World, or The Lost World Jurassic Park, and ends on that weird, almost Fern Gully Avatar, Captain Planet save the environment kind of message that I feel like was really hammered in the
Yeah,
90s. Like a lot of movies back then had a really strong like protect the environment, strong message, which isn't a bad thing
Yeah.
if it's done correctly. I just feel like this movie kind
Yeah.
of beat it to death, especially with Vince Vaughn's character being straight up like a Greenpeace terrorist in this movie at times. I feel like he removes like like the shotgun shells from Roland's gun when they're being attacked by a T-Rex. It's like, I know you want to protect the animals,
Oh,
but that animal
that's
is
what he
going to
did?
kill you guys. It's like, yeah, he removed the shells and put in 2 spent cartridges in the gun and just probably cost the lives of like 3 or 4 people and the engine
Yes.
because of
Yeah.
that.
I just think there was just so many things about this that just
'Cause-
didn't make a lot of sense. They were just trying to create conflict. And I know this is off topic, but this was something else I noticed, and it pissed me off. I don't know why, but it seems like always in bad sequels, and I don't think this is like a horrible sequel. I've seen way worse sequels, but
No,
like they kept just playing the same theme over and over. And at one point, it just didn't even make sense. Like, it did not seem like the appropriate music to play. It was when they're like flying out of the island and they see that the T Rex has been captured, and it was the same theme that they've been playing the rest of the entire movie.
yeah.
And it's just like, first of all, I've heard this theme like maybe 5 times. Second, this doesn't seem like the right emotional feeling that you're trying to get from your audience. Like, oh no, they captured the T Rex and they're going to take it to the mainland. It should have been more concerning and not like, oh, a dinosaur. Like, it just pissed me off because I remember like I think it was like the fifth Pirates movie, and yes, the fifth, where all of the music I think I had heard in the previous movies, and I'm like, what the hell?
It was just
And it just pissed me
everything was
off. I'm like,
recycled.
play something new. And this, it kind of just did the same thing. I just think, I mean, there were a couple moments. I think it was maybe the Velociraptor, the
You are really on
Velociraptor
that.
um, field scene. I think there were kind of a couple moments where the music I actually really liked, but I was just like, what the hell? Did John Williams? I'm assuming it was John Williams. Did he just score pieces of the movie? And they're like, okay, yeah, I like the scene. Let's just use it 10 times. Like, it just, yeah. This
I mean,
movie,
if it was John Williams, he definitely didn't bring his A game.
no.
But
Like, I think
I have no
the
idea.
first theme is in Jurassic Park. The theme, as well as just the music in that. I feel like Jurassic Park it's underrated how beautiful it is. Like, it's so good, and there's so many other themes and other movies he scored that for this I feel like there's something weirdly beautiful about it, and I don't think about it. You wouldn't think about it because it's Jurassic Park. And this I was just like, it wasn't even the music itself. It was just that it was overplayed and it was the same thing over and over. I'm like, I've heard this already. Just make it stop. It was just so annoying, and this whole movie was just very. It almost kind of like, I know the third Jurassic Park is very much like recycle things, things that never made it into the first movie. And is that at all the case for this? Do you know?
I I have no idea. It just there were so many moments that just felt like had no semblance of any real
No.
logic or reason that I kind of just like,
Yeah.
okay, if you're not going to take this seriously, then why should I? Which I feel like is what they kind of did with this movie of just like, you know what, people are going to see this because it's Jurassic Park, and I felt like this was it was very much they kind of copped out. They kind of just went, what was the easiest way we can justify making a sequel, and it was just a very much not necessarily by the numbers, because even by the numbers I felt like would have had a little bit more I guess logic
Yeah.
with this, but with this it just felt like all the characters were completely devoid of any semblance of reason, and it
Yeah.
just it kind of annoyed me. And you know what? That being said, I'm really looking forward to Jurassic
That's funny. I'm
well,
like, I
Dominion.
was just like
That should be
scrolling on
fun because
IMDb, and that like, oh, it's on the list of anticipated sequels. Does that come out like next year or
yeah,
this year?
I'm not sure, but I really hope that the idea of a Jurassic World of Fast and Furious crossover isn't a real thing because that sounds really stupid.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing and stupid. Like,
I
don't do
I
it, but do
I don't
it.
want them to do it. I
Wait,
in all
were they
seriousness,
talking? Oh wait, that's is that like an actual serious thing?
that is a as far as I know, that is a genuine serious thing that is being considered.
Oh no! How would that even work?
They're both owned by
No, yes.
Universal, so yeah.
Therefore, they
I
take place
how
in the same universe.
I don't know how they'll make it exist in the same universe, especially since they're already like what 10 movies into the Jurassic Park universe. So now they're just gonna say like, oh yeah, let's go to that world. Let's go to Jurassic Park. It's like, yeah, that's been a thing this whole time. I just haven't been there, even though I've been meaning to take my family there.
Oh no, we
It's
need
like,
a
what
way
the fuck?
to get away really fast from a T Rex. Vin Diesel just pulls up on
Yeah,
the island.
it just
No explanation.
I I I genuinely hope that isn't what is going to be happening because I feel like Jurassic Park, like that's too much of an iconic series to just be made into like a cash cow
Yeah.
of a crappy crossover with an action movie series that is well overstated its welcome. I'm saying that right now. Fast and Furious has overstated its welcome.
I've
It's gone on
never
way too
I've
long.
never seen any of the Fast and Furious.
I've seen two of them. I've seen Fast and Furious or The Fast and
Is
Furious.
that the first
Not
one?
not no, it's the fourth one, I
What?
believe.
Wait.
Yeah,
What?
that's not needlessly confusing at all. And then I think it was like the Fast and Furious 7.
Faster
It
and
was the
it's like
last one
Die
with
Hard, like Faster and Furiouser.
no, it was the last one with Paul Walker.
Okay.
Which actually was I'll give it credit. That one actually was a pretty good one, mainly because it had a really touching send off to Paul Walker.
Okay. I mean, I don't know anything about Fast and Furious. But anyway,
Yeah, but yeah, it was just
yeah,
uh
that sounds stupid. They shouldn't do that.
yeah, no, they
So
shouldn't. So do you think this movie could exist
no,
with real? Yeah, Sam.
it's just I think like I think a lot of like I think Jeff Goldblum was pretty. Everything he did seemed to me fairly plausible and believable because he's experienced it, whereas everybody else was making a lot of stupid mistakes, and it just like it's not even I can like that sounds plausible to me that like the whole like observe and report and then maybe something goes wrong, but it just this needed a rewrite for sure because the first Jurassic Park felt actually pretty solid. Like, yes, this. I can believe that all this stuff can happen, and this was like, particularly the San Diego stuff, especially. It's like no, like that would never happen. And yeah, that's a very fair point. It doesn't really make any sense on why or how all those people died on the ship.
Yeah, it if they explained it even like a little bit, like there was like, oh yeah, like there was velociraptors on there or something, but like Coast Guard like shot them all down or something like that. Like that would have been something like that they could have easily pertained to like an ecological like conservation message of like, no, like these are endangered animals. Like you need to we need to preserve them because like all life is precious or something like that. Like
Yeah,
it just a simple line of dialogue of like we don't know what happened. Even then, they just kind of like go on and see all the dead bodies. Like, hmm, let's open the cargo hold, and then just chaos of T Rex. Like they don't even like no one really seems to question all the dead bodies, other than just like they're all shocked and just walking around scratching their heads and going like, "Dude, let's open the cargo hold." It's like what the no. Explain, movie.
it
Explain.
was just the last one. I said this in the beginning. The last one had a lot of substance underneath it all, and this one I don't want to say it's like about nothing. It just didn't have that same level of depth. like anywhere close
No,
to it.
it is. This clearly did
And
not.
I think even it's been a while since I watched the third one. I feel like the third one had like I don't know, maybe it was a little bit. I don't remember, to be honest. Like
I think I've seen that one the most recently, and it's just as bad as I remember. It's the characters are super annoying. There's a couple scenes that are completely unnecessary, provide zero character development, and provide zero uh, uh, advancing advancing plot or exposition towards the overall story. And
this movie
yeah,
had a lot of
looking forward to doing
this
that.
movie had a lot of moments of like that's bullshit, that's bullshit. Whereas Jurassic Park 3 had I will yeah hold off until we do it, but there's something that happens that I just thought was such utter bullshit, and to me it like I feel like it almost like maybe almost makes the whole thing fall apart because it's just like, are you shitting me? Like that is like there's no fucking way. Like, and
Yeah,
maybe you know what I'm talking about. I don't know.
probably, but
Yeah.
we'll get into that later.
Um.
All right. Well, I guess that's all we have to say about the Lost World.
Probably.
So, Sam, where can all these lovely people find us and hear our awesome voices for other episodes?
We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Stitcher, Overcast, Google. You could also find us on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. But I spend more time on the Instagram, to be honest. And yeah, feel free to send us recommendations. We're open to it,
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah.
so we're almost
Like,
yeah.
comments, yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Send us your feedback. Do you like us? Do you not like us? We feed on your hatred, so give us all the hate. So,
I mean,
um,
as long as it's like nice hate.
I mean, we accept criticism, but if you hate us and just don't like us, tell us because we like to hear your opinion. And also, if you don't like us, why are you listening to us? Get out of here. Get a life. And also, we love you.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Now they don't know what to think.
On that note, uh, I'm Samantha Tomlinson.
I'm Kevin Tracy, and you've been listening to Movie Reel. Bye bye, people.